Agenda, we're substituting 5R, Exhibit A only, pertaining to the water tank maintenance contract agreement. We're adding 5Z, resolution authorizing change order number 4 for the Wool Market Road East drainage.
Move the agenda as amended.
First by Mr. Lawrence, second by Mr. Guines. Any discussion? All in favor? 6-0. We'll now move to our policy agenda, our presentation agenda. The mayor's report.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I've got a few introductions to make, but then we'll do the short and sweet first. A guy with a nickname like mine, from the share the memorial point of view. Bojack, you want to come up and give us some thoughts?
Thank you, Mayor. Congratulations on running unopposed. Tried to get somebody from the Bay to run against you, but they didn't have any gas money from the Biloxi.
The rules. That's right.
Just wanted to give y'all a Memorial Hospital update. As of February 1st, Memorial now has a 50% stake in Merit here in Biloxi. Currently, we are offering services right now to anesthesiology, and by May 1st, we'll be adding 4 more specialties to help with the staff at Merit, so look forward to a good and long relationship with them. And I've also placed at each one of your desks, Memorial has now become a teaching hospital. So starting on July 1st, we will have our first 10 residents who do a 3-year tour at Memorial in the field of family practice. We plan on adding in another couple of years both internal medicine and orthopedics. So every few months I'll come back, give y'all an update because you're part of the Memorial family now using Merit Healthcare. So just wanted to keep in touch. You've got my business card. If I can be of any assistance, please call me. Thank you.
All right, Bo. Thank you, man. We know how to get hold of you.
All right.
I do appreciate that. And we may ask if Pat wants to come up, our nominee for our school board, Pat Buchanan's in the audience, and if you'd like to come say a word or so, but we'll ask for his confirmation later on in the agenda resolution. Pat?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, I just want to say I appreciate this opportunity to be considered and to give back to the community. Biloxi Schools has been a very important part of our family's life. My wife, Allison, served as a Biloxi School Board member a few years back. Our daughter and son went from K to 12 in Biloxi Schools, and with that foundation, they were able to go on and get master's degrees. And our son, Houghton, he played a little bit of college ball at Ole Miss, yay for some, boo for others, I guess, and played a little bit of minor league baseball. And when he was done with minor league baseball, he had several opportunities. And what he decided to do was come home, and he's now teaching at the high school and coaching at the high school, giving back. And hopefully one day we'll get our daughter back here too. But I want to say it's sincerely appreciated for this opportunity to give back to the community to serve the school district and the city. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Pat, and thank you for Allison and your family, because it's what it's about, our school. So I know it'll be the top of your agenda. So thanks, Pat, and I'm sure we'll go right on through this. Now for the main event, for your entertainment pleasure, Frank Bordeaux will come in and share some information about a serious subject, the insurance coverages and so forth.
Thank you, Mayor. I've put before you 2 articles just kind of explaining how difficult the insurance market is. I know this past year when we went through the budget hearings, we talked about the hardening of the market from a property standpoint as well as casualty, most importantly, public officials' liability as well as law enforcement liability. Today we're just renewing your property, and the quote that we have before you has actually changed in the last hour and a half, and we're having to replace a lot of our markets or reshuffle markets in negotiations, and we just had a $51,000 decrease from what we show. That will bring us under what the city budgeted for the renewal. Instead of a $244,000 increase, it'll be a $193 increase. This leaves all of our deductibles the same as last year, all terms and conditions with the exception of the premium remain the same. I went through with the insurance committee the full proposal. I want to provide a one-page just to show y'all where we're at. But it truly is a difficult market, and with the ice storms just happening, that is not contemplated in this market timeline, market report. And where I thought it would begin to flatten out, we may see the continued hardening. Our rates are still below what they were post-Katrina, about 50% less of what they were post-Katrina. I don't foresee us getting back to that level, assuming, well, depending on hurricane season. But I will plan on bringing a report prior to next budget as well to kind of show y'all where we're looking at as we go through this year.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Bordeaux?
Well, we appreciate you keeping up with that. 51,000, that's pretty good. But we have it still listed like under budget for what we're actually planning to spend this year as far as the insurance itself.
Yes, sir.
Okay, there's any other opportunity maybe, like you said, it changes daily, something else you could save, 20, 30,000, whatever?
What I would ask, and this council did this last year as well, is I would ask if we could approve this based on today, but give me till the very last day prior to renewal to work with the administration if any other terms and conditions come along. We're still negotiating with these carriers on a single adjuster, which has been very helpful in these previous claims. And so we're going to get that done. It just isn't done yet. We don't know. There are still several carriers that are pending out there that may come in better.
That's good, as long as we stay on top of it, you know? Every
Yes,
time
sir.
you save 20, 30,000, that's good for the city. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Any idea when this is going to, which agenda this will be on? It's not on today's agenda, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
It's, we talked about it being on this agenda.
Maybe I missed it. Okay, I'll look again. I was hesitant to ask that question for just that reason, and I'll look again.
I believe there's a third meeting in the month. And I'd be,
There is. We've actually got a couple of more meetings. There's one at the very, very end of March, but we don't meet that Tuesday, so we have one after this. But as you said, Frank, last time, we told you to pull the trigger at the last minute in case there were more savings to realize, as Mr. Lawrence pointed out. So, okay, I'll look at the agenda again. For some reason, I thought it wasn't on here. I'll look. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bordeaux.
yes, sir.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Bordeaux.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you all.
I think we continue to make progress and see progress in hospitalizations and some of their vaccinations. I think the governor has opened it up, and with the memorial and the different pharmacies, the opportunity by June, we hope, is to get back to full strength with that herd immunity, and just ask everyone to pay attention between now and vaccination and herd immunity time. So that concludes my report, I believe. I don't know if Mike's here, but I think that's it. Thank you.
We don't have any departmental reports, so we'll move to council reports. We'll start with Mr. Tisdale.
Yes, a couple of things. I know that we had been talking about additions to the cemetery and plots, and we had kind of tabled that, and I'd like to see it come back up maybe at our first meeting in April. And I know there were some things, I think you had some questions about it. Mr. Lawrence said give everybody a couple of weeks if there were any other research or any other questions that came up. But I just know I'm glad to see that there will be more plots available for folks who want to be buried in Biloxi. Currently, we don't have any, so I'd just like to make that note and request. Also, I'd asked a number of weeks ago for a list of any properties that the city leases or rents, and this was several months ago, and forgot to ask for a follow-up, but I would hope that we could meet, or I could have that report again at our April meeting. The first one, it's not going to be Tuesday the 6th, that's an election day, but shoot for Wednesday night, our first meeting in April, April 7th. And I'll send you a follow-up memo on this, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. The third thing is Ward 5 meeting is tomorrow night at 6 o'clock at the Snyder Center. The agenda's on my website if you want to know what we're going to cover, and this is open to the public. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Newman? Mr. Lawrence?
Yeah, as far as the cemetery, Paul, we're still adjusting some of these things, and there's not a lot we're gonna change. We're gonna make sure that people have the right to utilize their plots the way they want. But I mean, we have really nothing in place about cemeteries. I know you're concerned about the 13th edition, that's 54 more plots can be put in there. And so that'll be on the table pretty quick. But we just fine-line everything, make sure everything's correct when we put it on the table. It's the right thing to do for the cemeteries and the people that own the plots. So
Thank you.
That's
Okay.
that part there. I wanted to ask the mayor, the Swetman House on Swetman Boulevard,
Right.
what is the purpose of the house if we can't use it for anything?
Well,
I know it was donated to us.
it was donated, and we have some maintenance obligations, and we had some research about a short-term rental or some sort of rental opportunity. I think that's the last. Mike, you have anything to add to that?
I'm not hearing what facility you're talking about.
Swetman House by Miramore.
The Swetman House,
It sits on Swetman.
it belongs to the city.
Right, it was
The city,
donated
the
to.
Swetman Foundation has a fund that funds the maintenance. There's about $250,000 in that fund right now. And that's what we pay maintenance and repair bills out of.
But I mean, you know, there's nothing in the building now. It's not being used. So they donated it to us for what? What we can do with it? If they got too many, what do you say, constrictions on it?
Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago.
I'm just saying,
we-
if that's the case, to give it back to them. We don't need it. We can't use it, do any good for the city, a community center, whatever you want to do with it. But to just have it sitting there and maintain it, it don't do any good. So if they got too much control on it and we can't do much with it, give it back to them.
It's in a residentially zoned neighborhood, so there's going to be a limit to what we can do with it.
Well, you can put like a family center in there. I mean, you had that old Keep Museum was in there. There's a lot of stuff was in there, but right now it's just sitting empty. It's not doing any good at all. There's a lot of kids in that area. There's a lot of things can be done with that house, and that's something we need to look at. But if we cannot do anything, or they control it too much, then fine, give it back to them. Let them pay all the bills.
The one opportunity we asked, I think, did we do an RFP for it?
We inquired
2 years ago,
with a number of people about whether it could be a short-term rental, whether it could be a bed and breakfast, for example. It's not zoned for that. It would take zoning to be changed.
The short-term rentals, then people don't
I mean,
want
the
that.
problem we're talking about, I mean, it's 3 bedrooms upstairs and a bathroom, 1 bedroom downstairs, a dining room and a kitchen, and a little carriage house, and a bomb shelter, by the way,
I understand at the bottom part.
which
I'm just
apparently
saying,
Mr. Swetman was planning
that
ahead.
area there is not set up for short-term rentals, so that's out of the picture.
So as you can see, our problem has always been that the limitations, if you will, the strings that are attached to that, the property. There's pretty difficult to do something with it. At least it's not costing us anything, though.
But I mean, if it's not utilizing for
We'll look at it.
for the city, right, then we need to check that out and make sure either we're gonna use it or not. If not, just give it back to them. They donate it to us, we'll donate it back to them. Let them worry about the problem. And the other thing, remember, you gotta be wearing your green tomorrow's St. Patrick's Day. Can't be drinking that green beer now. Y'all have happy St. Patrick's Day to y'all. Hello.
Is it working? You need to use mine?
I got it. It stayed on, yeah, the light was just cutting off. It's on now. You can hear me?
Gotcha.
Okay.
All right. First, I want to thank Mike, Jerry, and Peter for getting back to us pretty quickly on the sign requests for Oaks in the Oaks subdivision. Trying to figure out and resolve if that was going to be possible and work. So thank you guys for timely responding to all that so they could get that done. The Causeway Pier. I know we addressed the Causeway Pier in the last meeting and we talked about it. I was just curious if you could give me some insight on the funding mechanisms to repair the Causeway Pier, because this was BP money that we used to do a lot of the amenities down there. Is that considered when FEMA determines what their
Well, in the last week, I asked Seymour Engineering to give me a quick estimate of what it would take to repair, demo the bad part and repair it, and it's over $500,000. So we're kind of holding our breath. We, as you know, it was a crystal ball damage during Tropical Storm Cristobal, for which there was no FEMA money because there was no declaration of emergency. So we actually turned in verbally on the fly in the last 24 hours that money for that amount of money to Kevin Felcher and asked him to put it in the Tidelands ask, but I don't know how that's going to fare. So that's our next best bet, and then after that, we've got a couple of options. One option is just to demolish the parts that are down, because there's probably enough fishing pier and so forth there without it. Now, that would, we understand a challenging demo because the water is so shallow. It's hard to get a barge in there with the equipment, but I'm sure it can be done if they time the tides. So, I mean, what we're really thinking about, I have not mentioned this to the mayor, but what I'm thinking about is demoing the parts that are down and just living with what we got left.
I mean, we've also got some options that are asked with regard to floating docks and some of those other things that we may be able to squeeze some things out at the same time.
What about the remainder of the BP money that's being dispersed by the state? Is there any way to request?
Well, the BP money is more or less referred to these days as Gulf Coast Restoration Fund.
Right.
And Restore Act kinds of funds, and we could put a project in for Gulf Coast Restoration Fund and ask. We've not been terribly successful. We've put in 3 projects and I got one last year, and that was the Restore Act project that came out for the marina at Point Cadet. But that would be an option.
I mean, I think we should explore that option. Any option we can explore to get the
Between the
revenue.
Go Mesa Tidelands as well as what's left in restoration.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't be a bad thing to get money from both Tidelands and Restore Act.
Right.
We have plenty of other things to spend money on in Biloxi. Thank you for that information. Last thing was more of a request. Throughout my term, we've dealt with this issue numerous times, and more so while we're walking neighborhoods and campaigning. There's a lot of confusion about what landowner or property owner responsibilities are versus city's responsibilities when it comes to easements. Cleaning, maintenance, things like that, the size of the easements. Is there a way we can put together some sort of website link or public service announcement that people could refer to see what the rules are, the laws, and what the obligations of the parties, being the property owner and the city, with regard to the easements?
Yeah.
Certainly can do that. I think Peter will craft that.
I'll get Jerry on that, and we will put together a little package and we'll upload that to the website.
Okay. It'd be really nice to be able to reference something when you're talking to people. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gines?
Yes.
Nathan, forgot.
Memorial Hospital for coming out. I think they served almost 1,200 people in the community, giving vaccinations and shots. And I think it was originally supposed to be for a few people, but they ended up expanding it, going back, getting more, and bringing some to people who wouldn't have necessarily got COVID shots. So I definitely want to thank them for doing that.
That was an interesting day. We had an arrangement for 30 shots for city employees, and then Councilman Gine showed up with another 300. Fortunately, they'd made plans and there were enough shots to go around.
Oh, yeah, that was a great day. That was a great day. Yeah, people are coming from the woodworks, coming out to get shots, and the beauty of it is everyone wanted it. They really wanted it. So I thank them again, Memorial Hospital at Gulfport. I had the pleasure of talking with Miss Judy Steckler, Judge Steckler's wife. They had a grant, the Bayou, where they've been working in that area, and they gave me a tour of the area. And back when I was growing up, we thought it was just a ditch at the time, but it's looking more like a bayou. So the money was well spent, well deserved. It's beautiful out there. We got to see the cranes and everything flying, and the new vegetation that they put down there where it's starting to sprout up, and so it can cleanse the water and take care of our shrimp and everything like that. So it was.
We see that as
good.
an example of what we can do in a much bigger way with Keegan's Bayou.
Yes, and then just beautiful land. You know, once they did it, it was great. So I want to thank Miss Judy Steckler for doing that. The other thing I got on the list last is the wrapping up the North contract. They were out there today putting reflectors down, so it's Division Street is looking really, really good. And I just wanted to touch with Walt and get with them about were they finishing, or have they stopped putting up fencing? Okay, so they're still going. So we still have there are a few more. I hadn't seen them in the area, so I need to just make sure they come back and put the gates on some of the ones that are out there. And there's one other one, a lady on Walker Street, the punch list, or they need to get that punch list fixed up. I mean, it's only a handful of items. Get that done, and we'll be through. Other than that, that's all. That
Councilman, in your ward, both Nixon Street and Dory Street railroad crossings are now closed and marked.
Yes. Okay, yes, I saw those. I drove that the other day, and that access road is looking very good, very good. And they finally got the bricks off Nixon Street. So that's great. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gines.
Concludes my report.
Mr. Deming, you had something else?
Mike, I just wanted to ask you if you would reach out to Ms. Bell and give me an update on the replacement of the playground equipment at Margaret Sherry Library.
I'll email you before I go home today. I know that Parks and Recs met with Councilman Barrett earlier today to go over the equipment that they're buying for Eagle Point Park. My understanding is the only thing that's missing from the one at Margaret Sherry is a slide.
That was the only one that was removed, but there's tons that are still in disrepair, and we talked, Ms. Bell and I talked about the platforms that they sit on, the rubber platforms that are curling up instead of laying flat, and she talked about having to replace those, so if you would just,
Well,
thank you.
Get your report.
All right, thank you. I only have a couple things. Number one, if we could just follow up on those not the stop signs, but the speed limit signs on Shriners coming south. Got several calls on that this week. The people that, had asked for it, asking when that was going to happen, just phasing the speed limit down when we come into those roundabouts. And then secondly, April 15th, we're going to be having a ribbon cutting for the Woolmarket City Center. And then following that, we'll be having a award meeting in the new Civic Center, Community Center. And so all the department heads that are able to make that, I'd appreciate it. And that's all I have. That'll finish council reports. We'll now move to our public agenda. Citizen comments. Each person speaking will be allotted 3 minutes, a total time of 45 minutes. If you would like to speak when you come forward, please sign in at the table and state your name. Is there anyone on the left side of the room, your right, my left, that would like to speak? All right, anyone on the right side of the room, your left, that would like to speak? Please come forward and state your name and sign in at the, we don't have a sign. This is a separate sheet. Do we have a sign-in sheet somewhere?
No, there's not one here. Just do it on the back.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I came once before with you to introduce a kayaking launching system as Sherry Bell in engineering. I was the one to introduce it at Potts Ferry Causeway. I was the one to introduce it at Tuckchain Park for D'Iberville. So now I'm introducing a special use permit to Southern National Forest. We're going further up river, okay, to come down river to our location. We're going to introduce a location on the Back Bay. The Back Bay location, we're going to do 24-hour pumps for fuel, bait, and cabins. And it's going to be an agricultural education, and it's going to be a organic gardening for feed the homeless. And we have all this associated in my head and heart. We're coming forth to introduce a research and development opportunity, manufacturing opportunity, retain the students, okay, education opportunity here. So we have opportunity for hire the heroes and spouses, United States Chamber of Commerce. Okay, I have a BP contract, enhancement recreation opportunity, tourism opportunity. I'm here to do external partnership program with everybody, including University of Southern Mississippi. And what that introduces is with coastal operation, Sharon Campbell, University of Southern Mississippi. What they're introducing is quality of life blue economy. And what it entails is VHA IEX external partnership. VHA IEX external partnership is with the VA innovation team. So we introduce commercialization opportunities with our citizens for introducing loved ones and caretakers, amenities. So I'm introducing this for STEM Camp and Hall of Fame with the United States Chamber of Commerce. I have this to represent Mississippi appropriately, internationally. I've recognized internationally. You know how I did that? World Leisure Conference in 2014 in Mobile, Alabama. All the country, United States came here to introduce leisure opportunities. I reached out to an organization called ENAT, E-N-A-T. It's all the European nationalities for accessible tourism. All these people are trying to come here to introduce their options for us, to incorporate with them with tourism opportunities for ecotourism. I have this with General Joe Spraggins. I have this with General Jeff Hammond. General Jeff Hammond's Veterans Affairs, University of Southern Mississippi. Mississippi State, if everybody knows me, I'm coming to represent Mississippi appropriately. I have the money. I have the capabilities. I have the knowledge. I'm coming to aerospace engineering technology to introduce this opportunity with Amtrak, with Senator Roger Wicker. So I have all this for us to make sure it's implemented appropriately. I have a commercializations team, staff, on staff, with drones and everything, personnel from the VA. The VA is willing to step up with me because I am recognized as a Military Veterans Association representative. We have a veteran bottled water company. In 1 week, we'll have a website designed and we'll be on market. So I'm telling you this, we're coming to help the community. We're gonna help this, make sure it's implemented appropriately. I'm not the average cookie. I'm not crazy. I'm here to help. So I do not want to see people disrespected. I'm here to represent Mississippi.
Ramsey, your time is up.
Mississippi Burning is disrespectful, and I'm not here to represent that. My mother recognized Nelson Mandela at her services.
Mr. Ramsey,
She's buried at National Cemetery.
your time is up.
All right, I apologize.
And please
Thank
state.
you very much.
Please state
done.
your name in the microphone for the record.
Gilbert Ramsey, Military Veterans Outreach Specialist.
Thank
Been
you.
in the community since 1967.
Thank you. All right, is there anyone else on the right side of the room? Please come forward, sign in, and state your name.
My name is Josh Piku, and I'm looking to see if you guys would reconsider the zone change for 2462 Beacon Place to RM30 from the RS10. The current vote is for RM10. We're currently legal non-conforming, and I think that would give us the ability to make some changes to the property, and actually the adjacent property is RM30 as well. So I would just see if you guys would reconsider pushing it as RM30 instead of RM10. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on the right side of the room? Anyone in the back of the room that would like to speak? All right, if not, citizens' comments are now closed. We will now move to our policy agenda.
Ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances as it relates to the allowance of multifamily dwellings within the WF Waterfront District.
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
All right, do we have any discussion?
First reading.
Okay, yeah, this is first reading, I'm sorry. All right. Yes, it was first by Mr. Lawrence, second by Mr. Tisdale.
Ordinance for a zoning change for property identified as 2462 Beacon Place from RS10 low density to RM10 low density multifamily.
So that's a change. It's presented from an RS10 to an RM10 at the moment, although we heard from Mr. Piku, but for our purposes, that's the motion before us. I'll make that motion for discussion at the next council meeting.
All right, we have a first by Mr. Tisdale, a second by Mr. Guines.
Resolution for conditional use to authorize a health and fitness center for property identified as 185 Border Avenue.
I move it.
I'll second it.
Jerry. I know this is, sits on the corner of Porter and Irish Hill.
Yes, sir.
Are they planning on putting that where the old Western Pharmacy used to be, the corner?
In the corner where Finders Keepers was the last time.
All right, and the parking, is the parking, they have enough available? You're talking about a health center, you're talking about a lot of people coming. And what kind of hours are they gonna run?
What kind of
Hours?
hours? I don't know that he had determined the hours when he came before the planning commission, but I would assume that he's probably going to be open 7 days a week. Now, there was some discussion about the parking issue, and during the parking issue, they did mention that they were going to be open during the day, and that they and Giuseppe's, would share parking. They'd use the parking during the day, Giuseppe's would use the parking during the night. So I would expect that he would probably close no later than, say, 8 or 9.
Well, you have Giuseppe's, the restaurant there, you have the food store across the street, so.
Yes, sir.
It's a good thing, because the building was sitting empty, they have a lot of different things in there.
Yeah, the only concern we had about parking was right on the corner, and we've made them aware that they're not going to be able to park in what we call the 30-foot site triangle, which is where people have to pull out of Irish Hill to see north. They've agreed to that. They've agreed to restripe that. So before they open, we'll make sure they do.
And this is just that one building?
Yes, sir.
So,
One tenant space on the corner.
all right, that was the old Western Pharmacy, when he was a kid, Bass ran it, and on the side of it was McDaniel's TV. Popo, he might remember that. You're pretty old. You should remember some of that stuff. And we called it the Greasy Spoon. They had the Greek restaurant.
Yeah.
That's all.
Any other discussion?
I have nothing to add. I can't add to what Mr. Lawrence said. Thank you.
All right, call for the question. All in favor? 6-0.
Resolution creating capital project number 1078 for Shriners Boulevard Water Sewer Extension.
Okay, this was originally moved by Mr. Lawrence and Mr. Tisdale. Is there any discussion?
I'll just turn it over to you. You take your best shot over there.
All right, we're good to go. We explored the other option that I requested, and it's not feasible, so I'm fine with going forward with it. Mr. Tisdale, do you have anything?
I have nothing to add. Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? Call for the question. All in favor? 6-0. Item E.
Resolution appointing Christine Davis to the Biloxi Tree Committee.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All right, any discussion? All in favor? 6-0.
Resolution appointing Pat Buchanan to the Biloxi School Board.
I'll make that motion.
All right, we have a first by Mr. Tisdale, second by Mr. Guines. Any discussion?
I would just say, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Buchanan's an excellent choice. I've known him for a number of years. Good family, good man. I think he'll be an asset to the school board without a doubt. Thank you.
Mr. Guines?
Okay.
Anyone else?
Anybody wants to serve on these boards, we appreciate them doing it. That's a good thing.
All right, we'll call for the question. All in favor? 6-0. We'll now move to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved. I'll second it.
All right. I don't know who was first, y'all.
No,
We have first from Mr. Lawrence, second from Mr. Tisdale. All right, do I have any discussion? Mr.
Nothing,
Tisdale?
nothing
I'm
from
sorry.
me. I'm good with everything. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Lawrence, anything?
Then we have some good things on it today.
Okay.
We have to apply for the tenant grant for Mark Behind Park, where we have the grounds done, we have the hut done, all that's good, and then we have this and H is the swing sets. All that's gonna be new equipment for Mark Behind Park, which ought to be done within the next few months. That's a good thing. Since the hurricane, the guy run through there and tore up the little hut. Now we're gonna put a pavilion back there, with little tables and a roof and everything, so people can camp out at night. So it's gonna be, the park's gonna turn into a nice spot for that area there. That's a good thing. Mike, on the boat slip on you, this is the,
On which one?
You.
you,
As in
like
uniform?
unite. United we stand.
Utes?
You.
Between T and V.
Yeah, this is a boat slips for the boat that, the parasail boat,
Yeah.
and it's a little chase boat, so there's actually two different slips.
So,
So we, on these excursion, anything we could classify as an excursion boat, we don't do just a straight harbor lease, but we do a separate lease with some conditions and terms in it, because they do have a bigger impact on the marina, including parking and so forth.
well, I noticed we have they opened up Margaritaville again, and Friday night we're down there, and this place was packed. How's everything working with Kovacevic parking that the city and the state owns?
That's
What are we
public
doing?
parking. It's owned by the city. It has now a cut out to the street, out to Highway 90, so that people can get in there without going through either of the casinos. It's well marked. It says marina parking, but there's still a lot of people from the hotel parking there.
That was just one of
That's
the.
going to be a challenge for us.
Yeah, any other stuff
We've
we had
got
to
some
take.
ideas on that we'll share with you when it's appropriate.
It's a big challenge, right?
It's a big
'Cause I tell you,
challenge.
that place was
That
filled up
property
last
used to bring
Friday night.
That property used to bring up about $400,000 rent with a two-story. So there's some ideas that are floating around that will be worth investigating. And it's a valuable piece, and we need to utilize it 100%. And we're investigating some things. We'll keep you appraised of it.
Right. We've asked both the Golden Nugget and the Margaritaville to work with us and encourage their people not to park there. So far, between that and signage is still not getting it done. So we're going to have to probably do, as the mayor said, he's got ideas. Got it.
Yeah, I don't know how we can set it up, but I think that the original contract was set up that we received the first 300,000. And then after that, she had to split over 300,000.
352,000.
Yeah, split it with the state.
But as you're aware, as we've got some money to invest in that part of the harbor, and we'll be utilizing that parking shortly when that, when the grants come about. That'll give us the opportunity to express what we think needs to be done after that. Was it 3.3 million, Mike? That's put in, the floating systems and so forth for that part. So the timing will be right to reveal our plans there.
Yeah, our biggest problem, they used to pay us like $200,000 for the parking, and they just quit paying because they figured they could park there anyway. But it used to be with the contract we had with both of them, the two casinos, just paid X amount of dollars for the
When they
parking.
one floor, the other one hit the other floor.
We had a devil level too, which is gone now.
Yep.
On Danny Battaglia, this is a good thing for the city to go on the tournaments. Is this working the same week that they're gonna try to do the car show also?
Yeah.
I know y'all was working
No,
on it.
I don't think so. This is Danny's boat show.
No, yeah, but I'm talking about the one that I think Alan was supposed to be dealing with y'all to try to do a car show or a boat show with that. I know
think
he
it's
was
both.
talking to y'all, so I didn't know if that's all. One of them was supposed to be the same weekend. Is that supposed to be this weekend?
Even if it were, there wouldn't be a problem because the fishing tournament doesn't use parking over on the other side.
This is going to be the May 1st. The boat show is going to be the 29th and 30th and May 1st, April 29th and 30th, and then May 1st. So I don't know what the date of that
First and second, May 1st and 2nd.
is. What?
But again, Mayor, I don't see a conflict because
I'm going to be wrapping up.
this is a small tournament. I think this is a small cobia tournament. It doesn't involve a tremendous number of boats, and none of them
Talking about a car show.
Like a shootout.
they don't have to go park over on the other side of the highway, so they should be able to coexist just fine.
Okay. And the concession stand and for the sports complex, I know we're changing owners again. Are they allowed people to go to these games? I mean, can they actually make any money through concession stands if the crowd's not but 25%?
Well, it's been a pretty tough year with the number of the sports teams not being able to play and so forth, but we're opening up for softball and baseball now, so the fields are going to be a lot more busy in the near term than they have been through the COVID period. So we'll see if they make any money.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. That's a tough call, you know. And the last on the mayor on the Point Cadet traffic study.
We just asked for more time.
Right. What's the problem? We don't have any kind of update at all?
Well, if we move forward with some things that on Howard Avenue and some ramps and so forth, we just need real counts, and I think that was the purpose of if with some opportunities with MDOT and some other things, we want to make sure our counts are current and projections. If and when the amusement park and some of those other opportunities come about. We were encouraged. We made a trip, Peter and I and Keith Hurd, and met with the governor's staff and some from people that has information with MDOT and some of those things that are rolling down the road. So we just have we need to be current in our operations and our plans. So we were encouraged with those trips and those opportunities. We just need to be loaded with a plan and loaded with the data that backs the plan up. So that's part of this deal.
Appreciate that.
Is that it?
That's
Thank
it.
you. Ms. Newman? Mr. Deming? Mr. Guines? Couple of questions. On the Eagle Point Park, I see that we're making our final payment for that portion of the contract with Tally. Are they going to come in and remove all of that silt fencing and then the things that they had put in the water to keep the runoff and all that? There's still a lot of things, like the ditches haven't been cleaned up. They have stuff blocking the ditches to keep that silt from running down and all that. Is that something before we make this payment that they're going to take care of, or are they required to do that, or what?
They are required. I think the reason we haven't made them take the silt fence up is we're still getting ready to do, pouring a lot of concrete, and there's going to be still more construction going on. But
Yeah, I think the dirt's secure now. I mean, we have up until it was cut. I mean, it was solid grass, about probably 2 foot tall.
Yeah.
So I think we're good, but I just don't want them to get that final payment and then all that be left out there if that's their responsibility.
right, we've got leverage in that they're working on another contract for us right now, so.
Okay. And then on O, I know we're making the payment to Harrison County. That's Jim Bird Road. That road was never, it was brought to our attention on Thursday, actually, at our meeting. The middle line was painted, but because of the mailbox situation, there was never lines on the outside of that road. And it's a very dark road, and the other night someone ran off and had a significant wreck, from my understanding. So even if we have to get, I know the machine might not be able to do it in a lot of the places because of the mailboxes, but even if we have to get someone out there to manually paint that road, we need to get those white lines and maybe some reflectors put in to, just so there's no liability to the city on that, not having that marked at all on the outsides of that road. I know that the machine can't get in there to paint it because of the mailboxes being too close to the road or whatever, but whatever we have to do to get that striping put in, we need to do that.
Got it.
All right, and that's all I have. Are there any exceptions? All right, I'll call for the question. All in favor? 7-0. We'll now move to code enforcements.
first case on the agenda today, and Case A and Case B are side by side. SC Brosh, 338 Oak Street, and item B, Stephen Carl Brosh Jr., 334 Oak Street. Both are still in violation.
Is there anyone here to speak on behalf or against SC or Stephen Carl Brosh? Sir? All right, if you will, please come forward. If you would, sign in and state your name.
Steve Brosh. No, son.
Yeah, well, I can put it right there on that guy. Good job.
First of all, I'd like to state that I had about 3.5 feet of storm surge, and most of the things that are here and the vehicles and stuff were submerged in water, and most everything in my yard went under with a lot of all my tools that I work with and everything, my parents' property that I had stored under my house. So at the time, after the storm, as I was cleaning out, I had a lot of it in the yard, and who shows up first is going to always, the code men always show up at the worst time, and I've been trying to recover from this, and a lot of this one there was a car that I was getting rid of, and believe it or not, this trailer, that's the second trailer of 10 and stuff that I've gotten rid of, but that wasn't all mine. People brought stuff and put it on my trailer also. Now, the first one, I had over $315 in just 10 that I gave the man to clean up. So it's not just, it's all junk. It's a stimulus check if you want to look at it like that. But I have cleaned it up a lot more. The other thing is the street has never been cleaned since I've been there, and the city doesn't do their part of cleaning up. The easement, we have this picture here, this has just been cleaned up, but the easement and stuff is higher than my grass. My property is more well-maintained than the city easement down A Street, I can tell you. And some of it hadn't been cut in a couple of years, the easement alone. They cut one little strip, and then they go out and they blow the debris and the trash and everything back in your yard. I don't agree with that. The trash needs to be picked up. I mean, I'm doing my part. I need a little bit more time to get rid of these vehicles and stuff that went underwater. But you can see from the other picture, one yesterday, that I had gotten several people to try and tow away, and they pulled it over the trailer, so I had more trouble getting rid of the vehicles, but I am getting rid of it. All I ask is a little bit more time, and I'm also repairing my roof at the same time, so a lot of debris that was on the side of the house and stuff is shingles and stuff, so I am in the process of straightening everything up. All I ask for is some more time, and
with 30 days being
it'll
up,
be straightened up.
Stephen, 30 days.
I'll second.
Give you 30 days.
Yes, sir, that'd be great.
I'll
I'll
second.
make that motion.
All right, all in favor?
Thank you very much.
All right, you have a 30-day extension, 7-0. Next case, Mr. Krill.
Item C is MJ Trust 2, 13301 Green Hill Circle, still in violation.
Can you explain this? What, is it just a travel trailer out there, or is that something parked behind a house? Oh, okay, I see it now. Gotcha. All right, is there anyone here to speak on behalf or against MJ Trust on 13301 Green Hill Circle? All right, if not, this case is closed. We'll move to the next case, item D.
Item E, Home Depot USA, 16.
I think you skipped one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Item D, Chow Van Go, 271 Keller Avenue. This property is still in violation.
Is there anyone here to speak on, in behalf of or against Chan Chalvan, no, at 271 Keller Avenue? All right, if not, this case is closed. Item E.
Item E, Home Depot USA, 1680 Elizabeth Boulevard. This property has been resolved.
Next item.
Item F, Anthony L. Marshall, 286 Main Street. We inspected this today, and I've spoke with Mr. Marshall. He has cleaned up the property. He's down to one vehicle left on the property, and he said that that would be gone within the next week. So I would classify it as resolved.
All right, thank you. We'll now move to our
Just
routine. Go ahead.
One other thing, Mr. Lawrence, question about the gym at Porter and Irish Hill. I went back and looked at the minutes, and their operating hours, he said he believed would be from 5 a.m. until 10 p.m., 7 days a week. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, we'll now move to the routine agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, we have a first by Mr. Tisdale, second by Mr. Guines.
All right, let's see. Couple things on routine. This 19 million, what's the biggest bulk of that money? We have a check we're making for 19 million. I said, what's the bulk of that? That's a lot.
19 million.
It says right here, $19,119,186. We writing a check for somebody. A lot of people probably, but I said, what is the bulk of the money?
It'd be a Scrivener area.
That's huge, that one.
Where- yeah, let me see this. I have to, yeah, that is 19 million.
We don't need we don't need a lawyer, we need a finance guy.
I tried to ask, I asked the finance person that a while ago, and she sent me up here to take that question. This is sort of, we're documenting the expenditures that are going to the different entities. In other words, our gaming tax, that's going, it's showing what school districts are getting that as part of the gaming fee. The main portion of that 19 million is 14 million in property taxes that we are sending to the Biloxi schools. This is from all the property taxes collected last year. It's all goes to us through our interlocal with the county, and then we distribute it to the school district. So that's,
By the annual kind of thing.
it's their huge, it's their largest check of the year. It's probably, without
all we
that, it'd
do.
be 12 or 13 million less.
That's all we do is collect the money and pass it on to the school system. That's our system. That's the way we do it. Everybody supports that. I just wanted to explain that 14 million is a big chunk at one time, but that's a good thing.
Yeah. This represents a collection of school taxes, and we're distributing to them.
It's sent to the school side.
As our account says.
The next one, how about the big money we got coming in? Millions? Walt, Mike, somebody, how many millions we got coming?
Well, right now, we have 712,000 that's in the pipeline. Not quite a million, but they've been giving us quite a bit of money previously, so we're doing very well, Councilman.
Thank you, Walt, but the 212,000 compared to 19 million, he got to do a little better than that next time.
I'll work on it. I'll go.
All right, any other discussion? All right, all in favor? 7-0. Do I have a motion to recess?
Close them up.
So moved, or seconded.
All right, all in favor? First by Mr. Lawrence, second by Mr. Glavin.
All right, very good.
7-0.
Well, that was a quick
Good.
one.